training is the thing that will build your body. Nutrition is the thing that will reveal it. You remove 500, 700, or 1,000 calories a day, you're putting your body in a state where it's more prone to lose lean muscle mass. Once you kind of pass 40, 50, 60, and into your 70s, because of sarcopenia, because of the natural decrease in lean muscle tissue as you're getting older, as long as you strength train while you're doing your body recomposition, you will be able to preserve lean muscle tissue and put on some lean muscle mass. And you will look muscular, more lean, more toned. You'll have more of that athletic physique that many people want. Right, a little interruption before we get into today's episode. So I run these shows ad-free. We will never take on sponsors because everything is self-funded through our Fit Vegan coaching program. So if you enjoy these shows, the best way to support is obviously to subscribe to the channel. But also, if you know anyone over the age of 50 that is looking to improve their body composition, combat sarcopenia, combat osteoporosis, get healthier on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, to simply send them our way at fitvegancoaching.com, because we are the best in the world in helping people over 50 transform. We have over 1,000 transformation in 20 different countries. So simply send them our way. In addition to that, a percentage of our profit monthly goes towards supporting cancer patients with their treatments and bills and whatever they may need to support themselves and their family. So you're also supporting additional people outside of the work that we'd be doing in the program. That is all I have for you today, so enjoy the episode. All right, good morning everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan podcast. So today I have a very special topic, which is how to deal with being skinny fat over 50. So I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to do to not be in that position. So for those of you that are not familiar with what skinny fat is, it simply means that you look skinny with a shirt or a dress on, and you look a little bit chunkier with a bathing suit, okay? So usually that happens when, as we get older, or potentially when we don't take care of ourselves necessarily in our younger years, when we have an excess of body fat and we don't have a lot of lean muscle mass on our body. But typically, once you kind of pass 40, 50, 60, and into your 70s, because of sarcopenia, because of the natural decrease in lean muscle tissue as you're getting older, that tends to be accelerated because people tend to be less active, they're not strength training, and adding on top of that, that you are losing muscle at a much more rapid rate, it tends to accelerate the rate at which you end up looking skinny fat. So if that's you and you have really lean limbs and lean arms, or like really skinny arms or limbs, and then your shoulders a little bit on the leaner side too, but you have belly, you have some love handles that you want to get rid of, here's how you get out of it. Now the question is, which direction do you go with your nutrition? Some people would say, let's go straight into a pure muscle building phase. And some people would say, let's go to like lose the excess body fat that we have on our body. So I would tell you my piece of advice and what I would do if I was in your position, because I kind of was in your position when I grew up. I was skinny fat, skinny with a shirt on, fat with a shirt off. So if you go into a pure muscle building phase, we're going to look at your daily calorie intake, right? Which is going to determine what's going to happen with how your body looks. I've shared this multiple times. Training is the thing that will build your body. Nutrition is the thing that will reveal it. So if we want to fuel to actively put on more muscle than when we are in a body recomposition phase, meaning when we're trying to lose fat, if we want to do a pure muscle building phase, that means we need to go in a calorie surplus. So let's just say you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories to maintain your weight every single day. Well, you probably go to like 2,200, 2,300 calories to be in that excess so that there's enough energy to recover from the training that you're going to be doing. I'll cover nutrition first and then training after, because that's the mandatory part of you building muscle. So if you go in a calorie surplus, that means that you're putting yourself in a state of like, yes, being able to put on muscle mass at a much more rapid rate, but also means that you will be putting on a little bit more body fat as well, because you are eating in a slight excess of what your body needs in order to maintain every single day. So because there's that excess, your body will store a little bit of it as fat as well. It's normal. There's no other way around it when you're doing a pure muscle building phase. So if you're currently in a position where you don't have the level of leanness, of comfort, and necessarily confidence in your own body, I don't recommend that you go straight into a pure muscle building phase, because you're simply going to put on a little bit more fat than what you have on. Yes, you'll be able to put on a little bit more muscle than you would in a body recomposition phase, but you're also going to put on more fat. And so if you're currently not necessarily comfortable in your body, I would highly recommend going down the path of doing a body recomposition phase first, then reverse dieting, then a lean muscle building phase. So here's what that journey looks like. If you're skinny fat right now, What I'd recommend is to go in a slight calorie deficit. I'm talking identifying what your caloric maintenance is by going on Google and typing TDEE calculator, and you grab whichever one's on there. They use a lot of the same equations. You enter your height, your age, your sex, level of activity, and all that fun stuff, and it'll give you a theoretical number of someone that is with your statistics and how much they should eat to maintain where they're at right now. So if we're in a place where we're skinny fat, we don't want to maintain that. So we want to create a slight calorie deficit of maybe 200 to 300 calories so that we can put the body in a state to primarily focus on losing excess body fat. If you go into a steeper calorie deficit, meaning you remove 500, 700, or 1,000 calories a day, you're putting your body in a state where it's more prone to lose lean muscle mass. So if you look at those shows where people are weighing 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 600 pounds, because they're putting themselves in such a massive calorie deficit, when they look at how much weight they've lost, let's just say they lost, 30 pounds at the beginning, it could be 15 pounds of muscle and 15 pounds of fat. The stats can be as bad as 50% fat to 50% muscle, depending on how steep of a calorie deficit is and where you're starting from. So I highly recommend that you don't do a massive calorie deficit because, one, from a sustainability aspect, you're not going to be able to do that for an extended period of time. You're going to have more cravings, you're going to be hungry, you're going to have lower energy, but also you create an environment where your body is more likely to burn through lean muscle tissue. So by doing a simple 200 to 300 calorie deficit at the start, you're just kind of, turning down the thermostat a little bit and kind of forcing the body to be like, hey, there's not enough energy coming in to kind of maintain everything that we're doing. So let's use some of our fat storages as energy. You're not creating this, red alert in your body that is freaking out. It's like, okay, let's just get rid of everything because there's not enough food coming in for the output that we demand of our body every single day. So that's the number one thing. You go through body recomposition, you go slight calorie deficit, and once your body starts to plateau, you remove a little bit more, maybe an additional 50 calories or 100 calories, and then your body's going to lose some weight, and then you're going to plateau again. You remove a little bit more and a little bit more until you get to the weight that you want to. Once you're at the end of that body recomposition phase, you will have lost the excess body fat that you have on your body. Now, while you're going through a body recomposition phase, you're not going to be putting absurd amounts of muscle on your body because it is not a pure lean muscle building phase, which is phase 3 of our program, which is phase 3 of a transformation. But if you are newer to fitness or your body's not accustomed to training, you will put on some lean muscle mass because you're going to start strength training and resistance training, which is going to be a new stimulus for your body that's not used to. And it is more likely to put on muscle during that state. So as long as you strength train while you're doing your body recomposition, you will be able to preserve lean muscle tissue and put on some lean muscle mass. Now, if you're someone that's a little bit more of an advanced lifter like myself, I've been working out for 20 years at this point, I'm not going to put on a ton of muscle during a body recomposition phase. But anything less than me, you're going to put on more lean muscle mass if you're not as advanced of a lifter or someone that's been working out for so long, okay? So while you're going through body recomposition, you want to strength train, slight calorie deficit, ensure that you're eating enough plant-based protein per day. So you want to aim for 0.8 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Okay, so again, if you have excess body fat in your body, you don't want to eat protein to fuel that fat. You don't need to, okay? So 0.8 gram per pound of ideal body weight is going to be a pretty straightforward equation for 99% of people. So as long as you're having enough plant-based protein to have those building blocks, those amino acids to recover from the strength training, it's going to allow you to preserve and build as much lean muscle tissue as possible. So while going through your body recomp, we're going to put on a little bit, but primarily we're going to focus on getting rid of the excess body fat. Now, once we're at the end of the body recomposition phase of your fat loss phase and you've lost the excess fat, you're going to be stronger, you're going to be more lean, you're going to be more tone. And because of optical illusion a little bit, your muscles are going to stick out more, right? Once you kind of lean out, those little muscle striations, those definition in the muscles, the shape of the muscle starts to take a little bit of a better shape, and you will look more muscular, more lean, more tone. You'll have more of that athletic physique that many people want. Once you get to that point, your metabolism is going to be probably at the lowest that it's been for a while. It's normal. It's an adaptation process your body does because, again, you've asked of it to do more exercise and be able to operate on less and less and less food as you've progressed in your body recomposition phase. So it had to slow down the metabolism to be able to do everything you demand of it on less food. So you went from being like a Hummer to now being a Prius, very fuel efficient. Now, we don't want to be fuel efficient for the rest of our life. The reason being is if not, you're going to have to eat like 12, 1300 calories for the rest of your life to stay where you're at. There's nothing sustainable about that. There's nothing fun about that. If you're like me and you love traveling, you want to go to Europe or Asia or different places, and you want to be able to enjoy some of the delicious vegan restaurants that they have over there, 1200 calories is, you eat out once and that's half or three quarters of your calories for the day. It is not a lot of food. So you want to do something called reverse dieting. I've recorded countless podcasts on that. So you can go look at that more in depth as to how that works. But basically, it's a process of increasing your metabolism back to its normal state. So let's just say you were able to lose in excess of 10 pounds of body fat. Well, your new theoretical caloric maintenance has changed because you have 10 pounds of fat less on your body. So I invite you to go back into that TDEE calculator, total daily energy expenditure that I mentioned earlier, re-enter your statistics. It's going to give you a new number. That's going to be your new maintenance calorie, your new theoretical maintenance calorie. So realistically, that number is going to be a lot higher than where you are at the end of your body recomposition phase. So what you want to do, you want to slowly go from where you are back up to that new theoretical number. And you want to do that by adding carbohydrates every day, slowly over time. So I'm talking maybe adding 50 or 100 calories of carbohydrates for the week, like for one day for the whole week, watching how the body responds, and then doing the same a little bit more, and then the same a little bit more. It's kind of like growing a fire when you go camping, right? You have that little flame, which is your metabolism at the end of a fat loss phase. You don't want to throw a big log of wood on there. It's not going to be able to handle it. So you want to throw smaller pieces of wood on it over time to get that fire to grow. It's going to be the same thing with your metabolism. Instead of giving you wood, we're going to give you carbohydrates. Fat take longer to digest and are more likely to be stored as fat at the end of a body recomposition phase, which is why we're going for carbohydrate. Ideally, at the beginning of reverse dieting, simple carbohydrates are better. So if we're adding an extra 100 calories per day, eat an extra banana per day, right? Pretty simple for the first week. If your body stabilizes or stays the same weight, then add a second banana or some strawberries or some bananas. Try and keep it simple as you progress. And then over time, you can start to add more complex carbohydrate. You can throw some potatoes in there, some quinoa, a little bit more oatmeal, and things like that. That process of speeding up your metabolism, on average, takes about 4 months. The faster you go, that means the faster you'll have to make increases, the more likely you are to put on body fat on your body. So 4 months is kind of the time frame that we found to be the most ideal to not put on excess body fat or to put on minimal amounts of excess body fat. Now, while you're going through that reverse dieting phase, there's two things that are happening. One, your metabolism is increasing. Two, because you're eating more food and you're still exercising, you're still strength training and doing resistance training, you now have more fuel to recover from your training. So it acts a little bit as a lean muscle building phase. It's not a pure muscle building phase, but you're acting as a little lean muscle building phase because there's more food to recover. There's more carbohydrates coming in. So there's going to be more glycogen stored in the muscle. And you have more energy to work out and to push your workout. And you're going to be able to push harder, tear more of the little microfibers. And because you're hitting your protein, you're eating more calories, you'll recover better and then put on more muscle. So what usually ends up happening during the reverse dieting is people notice that they get leaner and tighter as they progress towards it. And they get stronger and they have more energy. There's quite a significant difference in your strength and energy when you're at the end of a reverse diet versus when you're at the beginning of it. So when you've gone through those two phases, what we've done is, yes, we've strength trained throughout this whole time. Yes, we've prioritized our plant-based protein intake, 0.8 gram per ideal pound of body weight. We've obviously manipulated our calories, but we were able to build some muscle. We were able to lose the excess body fat. So now if you are shirtless at the beach, you can look leaner and tighter versus feeling like you have to wear your shirt at the pool. You don't want to wear a bathing suit or maybe some dresses that you don't want to wear. So now you're more confident in your body because you're lean, you're tight, you're toned. Once you're at the end of a reverse diet, then I would go into the lean muscle building phase. Because like I mentioned previously, you're going to have to go in a slight calorie surplus. When you go in a slight calorie surplus, I'm talking 200-300 calories above maintenance. Yes, you're in a better, more optimal state to put on muscle with your strength training. But because you're in a surplus, you're more likely to put on a little bit of excess body fat. Now, it's much better to be in a place where you are lean and tight and put on a little bit of excess body fat while you're putting on muscle versus if you have an excess of 20, 30 pounds of fat on your body and then we're adding on to that, right? So once you're done your muscle building phase, which I highly recommend you do at least 6 months to a year minimum, just because I think people have unrealistic expectations of how long it takes to build muscle. So if you want to lose 10 pounds, like 10 pounds of fat, it can take you, 2 to 6 months. roughly. Depending on how slow you want to be. Let's say 10 to 20 weeks, roughly. So just a little bit under 6 months, okay? To lose 10 pounds of pure fat. I'm not like a weight number on the scale, I'm talking about pure fat. If you want to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, 8 months to a year to make that happen. It is almost, and a lot of times, double the duration that it takes to lose that amount in terms of fat. It takes so much longer to build muscle. Because losing fat is easy, we just manipulate your calorie intake, but building muscle, you're basically telling your body, every time you go in the gym and you train harder, you're telling your body it's in an environment where it's not going to be able to survive if it is not fit and strong enough. That's why you go to the gym, to push slightly those little boundaries. So your body has a reason to adapt and get stronger and build more muscle, okay? So again, much better to put on a little bit of excess body fat while you're already lean and you're already in a good place, because then you can just do a mini cut. You got to lose like 2-3 pounds after, and it's not the end of the world. But at least 6 months to a year to do a pure muscle building phase, and you'll only see significant difference in the amount of lean muscle mass you have on your body. Now, this rule applies to everyone, whether you're 20 or whether you're 80 years old. Now, the training will change, how much food you're consuming will change, because your metabolism does change as you're getting older. Your training will change depending on your level of mobility, of strength, of current fitness level, of previous injury, lifestyle, health conditions. There's so many things that go into it. So the training will have to be adaptive to where you're at, but the principles remain the same, whether you're 20 all the way up to until you die, basically. As long as you're alive, your body is still in an adaptive state. So you have the ability to manipulate it with the principles that I just shared. Now, that's for the nutrition side. Now, from the training side, if you're not strength training or resistance training, you need to do that. It will make the biggest difference in your life. I think it's one of the things you can do that will make you mentally stronger, more resilient, that will build up your immune system, that will make your bones stronger, to help you increase your metabolism, that'll help you put on some lean muscle, to help balance your hormones, that will increase your mood, that will allow you to eat more food because you're increasing your metabolism, that will make you stronger, that will make it so that you have a body that is fit to be able to enjoy other activities in your life, the thing that will prevent you from having more injuries as you're getting older, and the thing that will allow you to enjoy more activities as you're getting older as well, right? I know some people that are 80 years old and are bedridden. We have members in our program that are 80 years old and are cycling across 3 different states in the United States. It is a choice at that point, but everyone should be strength training. There's no downside to strength training. The only downside, I say, it's not even a downside. I think the biggest thing is people have fear of getting injured while they're strength training, and that's because they're not doing it properly. So if you're listening to this, you can head over to my YouTube channel. On my main page, just Maxime Sigouin, there's a playlist called Fit Vegan Exercise. There's over 100 plus exercise videos that I've personally recorded, giving you the tips and cues on how to exercise safely from your house and from the gym with different variations of equipment. I'm also working on recording another 150. I'm just recovering from a concussion, so I couldn't work out and film those videos, but they will be added as I record them. So great resource for you to ensure that you're exercising safely and effectively from the gym or for your house. So now that takes care of the fear of doing it properly and getting injured. There's only benefits to strength training. Now, what does strength training look like when you're going through a body recomposition phase, when you're going through reverse dieting, when you're going through your lean muscle building phase? I like to start off people that are newer to fitness with higher amounts of repetition. The reason being is because you have to take lighter weights. You can't grab the heaviest weight in the gym and try and do 15 to 20 repetitions because you won't be able to do it. So it forces you to grab a lighter weight. So therefore it is safer, less likely to get injured. And by doing more repetition, you're better able to build that mind-muscle connection, to get the muscle firing properly, and to learn how to do the repetition, the movement more effectively and safely. So a great place to start is 3 times a week, 3 full body workouts. Great place to start if you're new to fitness. 4 times a week, if you're a little bit more advanced, you can do like upper body, lower body, Monday, Tuesday, rest on Wednesday, upper body on Thursday, lower body on Friday. I'm a 3 to 4 strength training, and I'm competing at an elite level. So there's a lot of benefits. You don't need to do 5, you don't need to do 6. If you're a competitive bodybuilder, it's a different conversation, but we don't work with competitive bodybuilders. We work with normal people that are looking to have a fit and healthy body and be able to enjoy their life at the highest level, okay? So you're strength training, high repetition to start. But as you're going deeper into your calorie deficit, you want to play around with different types of muscle fiber because there's benefits to training all of them. So if you're training like a 12 to 20 repetition per set, you're looking more at building muscular endurance, which a lot of benefits too. If you're looking at repetitions from 8 to 12, you're working on muscular hypertrophy, so the size of the muscle. So a lot of bodybuilders train within that rep range. And if you're working on like a 3 to 6, 8 repetition, you're looking at more strength based. We're talking heavier weights, you're not moving them as often. And that's more for as you get a little bit more advanced and you ensure that you have your muscles are properly firing, you know how to do the movement safely. But there's great benefit in training within that rep range as well as we build you up to it. And now there's benefit of cycling through these different types of muscle fiber because it makes you a more well-rounded athlete, a more well-rounded person, and it translates more to your day-to-day life, right? Sometimes you're going to help your friend move their couch. That's one heavy lift and you walk a little bit with it. Sometimes you're going to be gardening. So you're going to be holding a position potentially and doing a lot of the same repetition over and over again. So it's going to be muscular endurance. The muscular hypertrophy is nice because it helps to build that muscle a little bit more in terms of size, which gives you a better look. And for most people, increases confidence as well. And obviously it builds, a mixture of strength and muscular endurance too. So you want to cycle through those as you're going through body recomposition, as you're going through reverse dieting, and as you're going through muscle building. For those of you that are still afraid to lift heavier, you can still build muscle doing body weight exercise. You can still build muscle doing high repetition because your nutrition is going to be proper, because you're going to be putting yourself in calorie surplus, because you're going to be making sure you consume enough plant-based protein at that point. So as long as you're applying a stressor on the muscle that it's slightly not used to, it's a little bit out of its comfort zone, the muscle will have a reason to adapt to the new stressor and become bigger, stronger, okay? You can do heavier weights, you can do more hypertrophy and grab heavier weights than you're slightly used to. Again, as long as there's a challenge, because if you are training, again, through all the phases that I shared, if you're doing an exercise plan and at the end of it, you're like, this was cool, and you can do that workout again, you didn't push yourself hard enough. I'm not telling you to be debilitated and you can't climb the stairs and you can't drive your car and you can't sit on the toilet. Those of you that have done really hard leg days, you know what I'm talking about. I've been there for sure. I'm talking about once you finish your workout, you're like, hey, you know what? I can't do another workout right after. That means you pushed yourself hard enough for me, right? So if you're doing a set, let's just say it's 15 repetition, always leave 1 to 2 reps left in the tank. So we're talking about doing a push-up or a bench press, and you get to 15, in your head you go, okay, I can do another one, but if I do a second one, I'm gonna get stuck on the bar. 15 is gonna be the perfect place to stop. So you wanna stop 2 repetitions short of that. That way you're staying safe. You don't really need a spotter at that point. You can if you want to, but that way you're staying safe and you're challenging yourself enough, okay? So those last repetitions, those last few sets is where you'll get the most amount of growth. And your growth won't come from the training itself, because during the training, after the training, you're actually weaker, right? Because you're tearing those muscle fibers. You get stronger when you're recovering, you're properly fueling yourself, and you're stretching and you're getting good sleep that allows those little micro tears to grow back and reconnect and get stronger and get a little bit bigger. And you do that multiple times over and over again. And like I said, that's why it takes 6 to 10 months to really see a big difference in the amount of lean muscle you put on in your body. It's because of that process over and over again. The muscle just get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. So if you were to be skinny fat over 50, biggest piece of advice is start strength training at least 3 times a week, 20 to 45 minutes. Start with what you can and with what is doable for you. And eventually you can graduate to doing maybe 3 45 minutes a week or 4 of 30 minutes and 4 45 minutes. But you don't need that much to be able to stimulate growth of the muscle. Highly recommend getting leaner first while you're strength training to build that muscle and create that optical illusion of like looking bigger. So you're looking more fit. Reverse dieting to speed up your metabolism, because if you skip that step and you just go from low calorie intake to high calorie intake for lean muscle building, you'll just put on a ton of fat until the body catches up to the new food intake that you've asked of it, which then you did the fat loss phase for nothing, right? Reverse diet and then do a lean muscle building phase. So depending on how much fat you have to lose on your body, it may take you 4 to 8 months for that. Reverse dieting takes 4 months. Lean muscle building, 6 months to a year, okay? This is not an overnight transformation. If you want sustainable results and you don't want to crash and not be able to maintain your results, you need to do it properly. So you're looking at least at 1 to 1.5 to 2 years, depending on how much fat you have to lose, but ultimately it will change the quality of your life for the rest of your life. So Don't try and take shortcuts, because shortcuts, first of all, you crash. Most people crash and can't maintain the results. And second, other people never make it all the way to the end because it's not sustainable. Okay. So I just want to tell you the unsexy truth of what actually needs to happen. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I think that I spoke really fast on this one. So hopefully you guys understood what I was trying to say. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in doing this by yourself, got a lot of great resources that I have, on my YouTube channel. If you want some help, we have an incredible coaching team, one of the best in the world at what we do in helping people improve their body composition on a whole food plant-based lifestyle over 50. So there's a link down below where you can book your free consultation call. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.